Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back the beautiful horror hostess with the mostest, Penny Dreadful the 13th. I had her on back in October around Halloween time, and I'm having her back on the show today. Unfortunately, I was supposed to film the first episode of my horror movie show this weekend, and I got fucked over, unfortunately. But Penny's going to give me some advice on how to do a horror show and talk about it some more. Because we had talked about it back in October, but I wanted to talk some more about it and stuff. And it's going to be pretty fun. I mean, Penny is an absolute sweetheart. I enjoy talking to her. So, here is my new interview with Penny Dreadful the 13th. Hey, Penny.
Hey, Tommy. How are you?
I've been better, but I'm hanging in there.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, I was a little out of it yesterday when you called because I found out my horror show's not going to happen now.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Why?
Me and my producer, my quote-unquote producer, I should say, got into it over some stuff. He's just, I don't know, he's being very selfish right now. I mean, he's going through a lot in his personal life, but he's just being very selfish, and he's smoking a lot of marijuana and just, like, not remembering stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yikes. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I hope that maybe you can connect with other people out there that would be interested in helping you out with that.
Yeah.
Is he a personal friend of yours?
Yeah, he was my mentor in stand-up comedy, and
oh man, yikes!
He's going through a lot. We were going to do this show in January of last year, and then he had surgery in December of 2017, and so we put it off for a long time, especially since I had a very bad year last year. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and then right when I'm ready to do it and stuff, he's not ready to do it, but he lies to me and tells me that he is and stuff, and then just, it makes me look like an idiot. I'm planning stuff, I'm talking to people, I'm telling people about this and stuff, and then next thing you know, it makes me look like an idiot.
Well, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
If he can get his act together, hopefully, he'll come through for you, and maybe give it a few days and see what happens. Hopefully he'll realize he's screwing it up, because that could be cool for him too, as a producer of the show and stuff. And Rebecca and I, we've known each other for many years, so occasionally we butt heads on stuff, but we always kind of work things out and kick it whenever there was a disagreement about something, and that didn't happen very often. But when you're working with creative people in the same room, sometimes people have different visions about things. It can sometimes turn into a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't look like at this point he's going to admit he's wrong, but I'm going to be moving out to Hollywood this summer, so hopefully I'll meet people down there, and this will happen. So.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm sure you'll meet plenty of people out there that'll be into it. If you get into the comedy scene out there too, you'll meet plenty of people. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, so tell me about you about this He-Man project that you're doing.
Sure. I've been working on Masters of the Universe now for a few years in an official capacity. My friend Val Staples, who runs like the biggest He-Man fan website online, he wound up getting a contract through Mattel years ago to do a comic book series, which he was doing through Image Comics. Val himself works in comics, and then subsequently, he's maintained a relationship with Mattel, and now Universal, which has the entertainment rights for the brand. So, Val knew I was a big fan, and he was also into the Penny Dreadful stuff, and he knew I was also a writer in addition to doing a lot of theater and stuff. So when the opportunity came up to take over writing the bios for the characters, and I feel like this whole storyline that they have going on the hardbacks for the characters. And it was controversial. The guy who was doing it before was a big fan himself, but he sometimes would make choices that fans didn't like. So, he left the brand, so there was kind of an opening there. Nobody was doing the bios, and then they had been going for a while, so the continuity in those was pretty deep. So Val brought me and this guy Eric Marshall in, who's Eric's a good friend too, and he's a really talented guy. So we became the co-writers. The toy bios starting in 2016, and I decided, Penny Dreadful's working on bios, you got to have some horror stuff. So I started introducing some horror elements. I introduced a vampire character into Masters of the Universe, so that was kind of a first vampire enemy for He-Man, and that was fun. That went over well. I wasn't sure. You never know when, like, a 30-plus-year-old brand, if you're going to bring something new in. Sometimes fans are shitty about that kind of stuff. But actually, it went over pretty well. I was surprised. I was expecting to get tarred and feathered, but it went over pretty well. And I've also been working on these books for Dark Horse. Done quite a few Masters of the Universe, He-Man and She-Ra themed books for Dark Horse. Did a lot of heavy lifting on the character guide, which is basically a He-Man encyclopedia book for He-Man and She-Ra. I did a lot of writing on that, and then I spearheaded a newspaper strip book that we were doing, because the He-Man newspaper strips ran for like 4.5 years, but they were really obscure. Like, most people hadn't seen them, and definitely not the complete run. So I told Val, hey, we should do this, and he thought it was a good idea, so he pitched it to Dark Horse. Val was like my manager on the project, so he's like the go-between of Dark Horse. He pitched it to Dark Horse. They liked the idea too, so they greenlit it, and then we went on this epic quest to track down all the newspaper strips for that book. And then we've done a couple other books too, so it's been kind of fun, time-consuming, and it doesn't pay that great, but it's kind of what I've been up to these days. I haven't been doing the horror host thing too much lately since Guru passed away. I just kind of do one annual Halloween special every year to kind of keep Penny around. Occasionally we'll do a con here and there, but not that often, not as much as I used to. Maybe someday I'll bring Penny back from the great beyond. We'll see, but.
Yeah, I was a big He-Man fan growing up. Like, from ages 3 to 5, I had everything He-Man. I had I had the Viewmaster. I had the action figures, the comics,
Nice.
just lots of stuff. Bed sheets. I mean, everything. And I kind of grew out of it after a while, but it was like my big thing, And
Yeah.
I've always thought that He-Man was underrated, and that they should have a proper movie instead of the Dolph Lundgren movie.
Yeah, and apparently it's happening. And Sony and Mattel are working on a movie. The guy who just announced or confirmed on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon that he's going to be playing He-Man. No, I don't know him at all. Noah Centineo, and he's a young guy. He looks like pretty likable, but he's not huge or anything. Like, you imagine he's He-Man being like a really big guy. He's not that big of a guy. He's in good shape, but he seems likable. So it's like, okay, well, we'll see if He-Man's kind of, you got to have a likable person playing He-Man, but he needs to hit the gym, I think, if he's going to be playing He-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, look it up if you see. It's almost like a clip of the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Noah Centineo is the guy's name. I have no idea who he is.
Mm-hmm. I'll check him out. But yeah, I thought that Frank Langella did a pretty good job playing Skeletor in the movie, because he is a great actor.
The movie was a rough go, but he was good. It's grown on me, Like Frank Langella. Meg Foster was a good evil in too. Dolph Lundgren looks like He-Man, but that was like early in his acting career, so he was a little stiff, but he was all right, I guess.
Yeah, something that was mind-boggling to me. The low-budget film company Canon made Masters of the Universe. That same year, the Garbage Pail Kids movie was made by Atlantic Releasing Corporation. Now, Canon at that time was backed up by Warner Brothers, and Atlantic was backed up by Paramount, but couldn't like those actual major studios like make the movie without having the low budget company backing it up, because then maybe it would have been they would have been better movies,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. They also did the Superman Quest for Peace canon.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater when it came out. I remember when Superman 4 came out. I didn't see that in the theater. I saw Superman 3 in the theater, too, with Richard Pryor.
Yeah. I was just born, or I was a couple days born. I was born a couple days after it first came out, Superman 3. Wow. But I always loved Superman 4. I thought it was pretty cool, as bad as it was.
Nuclear Man. Yeah.
Nuclear Man. Yeah. Destroy Superman. That's Gene Hackman doing the voice too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Was it Gene Hackman? I didn't.
Yeah. I think they were trying to make the point that Nuclear Man is created in Lex Luthor's image, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think Gene Hackman did the voice.
Oh wow! I don't think I ever knew that. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that Nuclear Man is supposed to be Lex Luthor if he was an evil superhero.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, that's great that you're doing all that He-Man stuff, because it really needs to come back, I think. And I was supposed to go to a convention last summer where Alan Oppenheimer was there. And
yeah.
what's her name who does the voice of She-Ra?
Melinda Brett, yeah.
Yes, yeah. They were there, and I couldn't go, unfortunately. I was going to, I had press badges. I was going to go and talk to them and stuff, but I didn't get to, unfortunately. It would have been great, though. I would have gotten an 8x10 of Beldar from the Neverending Story that Alan Oppenheimer does the voice of.
Oh, yeah, the Deluxe Dragon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've met Alan Oppenheimer and Melinda Brett before, too. I helped run PowerCon, which is a Masters of the Universe convention. It's like annual, yeah. My friend Val runs that, too. I help him out with that every year. It's a pretty cool con. It's not a big convention, but it's passionate group of people that attend. But Alan Oppenheimer was there one year, a couple of times actually, and Melinda Britt. You can't get He-Man though. John Irwin is very doesn't do public appearances. He's just not. He's a very reclusive.
Yeah. Which
is too bad, because he would make a ton of money. Like everybody would want to meet that guy. So.
Yeah.
Right.
That would have been great to do. I just love the whole. I love all those mid '80s cartoons that were based off of a toy. Like I love My Little Pony and the Wozzles and Thundercats and G.I. Joe and all that stuff. I grew up on all that stuff.
Yeah, that was great stuff. Yeah. And I used to watch all of that stuff. I didn't watch Transformers. I wasn't into that. I watched G.I. Joe. I watched Thundercats. I watched Gem. The Strawberry Shortcake specials. I recently wrote an article up that I posted on my blog. I was like, I like those. Nobody ever talks about those. So those were pretty good times for cartoons. Fun stuff. So what are we talking about on this podcast? You still want to do the interview about horror hosting, or?
Oh yeah, we could still do that. I mean, last time we talked, I was just telling you how blown away I was by how inspirational you've been, and you started this little horror show on cable access, and it spread all over the New England seaboard. I mean, that's just amazing. It's an accomplishment and a half.
Oh, thank you. Have you been recording this entire time, by the way?
Yes.
Oh my God, I didn't know. I thought we were just like having a conversation.
Well, we are having a conversation, so don't think
I was like, wow, we're doing the podcast. I honestly, genuinely had no idea. Um, yeah, I mean, well, thank you. I was like, are we gonna do the podcast? Thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of work, and it was really fun to do it while it lasted. Now we're just doing like an annual special, and it's been really cool doing that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get over how amazing that is because, so many horror hosts, are hired guns for networks, and then, you start your own, I mean, and it becomes successful. I mean, that's what I was trying to do this weekend, but it's not going to happen for a while now, but, yeah, that's just great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough when it can be difficult when you have a lot of people working on something like it's everybody has kind of different ways of approaching things sometimes, so it's just a matter of kind of trying to see things from other people's perspectives and try to I mean 99% of the time my crew has been gotten along very well because we're all like really old friends and stuff. But sometimes we'd have disagreements about things that, I remember one time we had a big we were a big fight about something. But then it's like, our friendship is more important than the show, and we kind of work it out, after the fact. And it's like, okay, this is priority, and, then the show comes back into focus again, but I think it happens with any group of creative people, and they're working together. Everybody's got to kind of, it's hard to get everybody on the same page sometimes, but most of the time, I'd say like 99% of the time that didn't happen. It was really like creative choices, or like, I want to do it this way, I want to do it this way, no, it's not going to work if we do it that way, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which always happens in the theater and film and TV and any creative endeavor where you're working with people. So, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I was going to call the show Real Nightmares at first, with 2 E's, Real Nightmares. Mm-hmm. And then I found out that there was a film company in LA called Real Nightmare that's a horror film company. And it's funny, I remember mentioning it to so many people I know in the horror community that I was going to call it Real Nightmares, and they were like, they had this I don't know, this tone in their voice, like it's not going to work or something like that, but they didn't want to tell me, So then I was trying to play with some other names, Real Frightmares, Chiller Reels. And then I thought, you know what? People might get those confused with the conventions. Chiller in New Jersey, ChillerCon, and right. Texas Frightmare. So I just like, okay, how about Real Shockers? And then I thought that would be great because this show is going to be very irreverent. It's going to be shocking, And then maybe, but then maybe it's a good thing that the show's not going to happen for a while because maybe, they'd get confused with your show, Shilling Shockers,
Probably, I mean, I probably not. Most of the people thought our show was about Kurt Schilling the baseball player. It's spelled different way. I think we should have called it something else.
Yeah.
One person thought our show was about money. I remember that. Like, there was one.
What?
Shilling. So it's about money, like about the British shilling. And I'm like, no, what? I guess that makes more sense than it being about Kurt Schilling. I don't know, but like, no, it's not. That's not what it's about. Look at it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my God. Yeah. So I think that, maybe this is just a blessing in disguise that I'm not going to do it right now. So, in the future, I will.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope it works out for you and that you get it off the ground. It's really fun, but it's a lot of work. And but once you get it going, there are outlets out there that'll air your show. And are you going to go TV or internet route?
Well, we were going to go the internet route. We were going to put it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram because I know a horror host who had his show on YouTube, and it got deleted because even though he was showing public domain horror films, for some reason they found it to be pirating, and so they took his channel off. Yeah, so I didn't want to risk that. I think that we would be safe if we did Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, though. But if I go to LA, I mean, hopefully I'll find, some kind of network or some kind of website or something that I can do it on, and I won't have to do social media for it.
Mm-hmm. Who's the horror host that you're friends with?
Do you know Al Omega?
Al Omega. I haven't met him, no.
Yeah, he's a Bay Area guy, and you'll most likely see him all over Facebook. I mean, he's always liking other horror host stuff and commenting and stuff. I mean, he's all over the place.
The name definitely rings a bell. I just don't think I've met him in person. I think I've heard the name before.
Yeah, he's a heavy-set guy who wears an eye patch.
Yes, I do. Yeah, yes.
Has glasses. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'm just looking right now. I'm friends with him on Facebook. There he is. Yeah, there he is. Yep. Yeah, I know who it is. I haven't met him in person, but I know of him. Yeah. There were a couple Bay Area. I'm friends with Ms. Monster, but I haven't seen her in a while. She's Bay Area. Host. I don't know if you know her.
Miss Monster, no, but I know Miss Misery.
Oh, Miss Misery. Yep. I know her. Ms. Monster, she's like blue. She like paints herself blue and wears an orange wig. And has like two puppet side coats for Monster Melons. And then there is Mr. Lobo used to be in the Bay Area, but he's in Pennsylvania now. I don't know if you knew Mr. Lobo or not.
No.
Yeah, he was out there for a while. And then you have like the legendary ones like Asmodeus and Bob Wilkins and
oh yeah, I knew. I've met John Stanley. I've interviewed him.
John Stanley, yes, John Stanley. Yeah, yeah. He's those guys are really legendary out that way. I lived in San Francisco for a couple of years. I think I told you last time I was on your show. I was out
there.
Yeah. Yep. I do miss the Bay Area. I mean, it was cool. It was really expensive to live there, though.
Oh, it's worse now, and it's a lot more. There's homeless people all over the place now. It's just it's a mess, San Francisco.
Yeah. I remember it was just like it was difficult to live there, just financially. Like I was like, I can't find a place to live that I can afford, and I wound up living in Daly City for a little while.
Oh God.
And yeah, I was out there for a little while, and then I went back and I moved into the Xlll district. That's where I met Magoo. Actually, was out in San Francisco, and we used to hang out a lot on like Haight Street and Neva Records, and we'd go see shows a lot and stuff. And it got to the point where I was like, we can't even afford to go see shows, like we'd go see bands play and stuff. I was like, what's the point of living in the city if you can't afford to do anything?
Yeah.
But it was cool. I do miss it. I'll visit at some point and go back to. I haven't been out there since 2000, and we left in 2003, so it's been a while.
Yeah, I lived in Daly City briefly. I was homeless for a couple of years before I moved over here to Reading, and I got lost a lot in Daly City. I mean, it was really confusing to get around lots of places.
Yeah. I didn't have a car. I just I'd take the BART from Daly City into San Francisco, and then I would take the Muni around, which they have a good public transportation system, but it takes forever to get anywhere. Like you got to transfer on the bus and then go down to the subway underground, and just like to get from one side of town to the other. Sometimes it took a really long time. And I remember I'd go out at night and sometimes I'd stay out late and I'd have to take the night owl bus.
Mm-hmm.
That was always a treat. Riding the night owl bus at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
All kinds of wonderful characters on the night owl bus at 3 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco. That was always a good time.
oh yeah, I remember one time I fell asleep on a bus, and I wake up and there's cops on the bus. Apparently, apparently there was a guy in a wheelchair that was masturbating on the bus, and I was sleeping. Yeah, I was sleeping during it, and so they were questioning, everybody if they saw it,
Yeah.
And I remember I was working at a bar at the time, and I texted my bartender friend and told him about it. And he said, "Oh, I guess he wanted to prove that despite his shortcomings, he's really not that broken."
Wow.
Yeah, that's San Francisco for you. Do you know Lord Blooddraw?
Yes. Well, I've never met him in person. I'm definitely familiar with him. Yeah, he's great.
Oh yeah, he has his own convention every summer, Creatures Con, and
cool.
I wanted to go last year. I couldn't, but I'm definitely going to try before I move this year. He's going to have it July 7th, and I met him for the first time in person when I was in LA a couple weeks ago at Monsterpalooza. He was there, just hanging out.
How was that?
Oh, it was great. Oh my God! So I met Pee Wee Herman. I spent 2 hours and 30 minutes in his line.
Oh wow, that's great. Cool.
Mm-hmm. I met Chris Sarandon.
Wow.
I met Jason Patrick. I met Eileen Dietz, who played Pazuzu in The Exorcist, because I had just interviewed her the week before, and I met a lot of people. It's really grown in popularity and stuff. It's actually taken out kind of the charm of what it was the first time I went 3 years ago, but it's still a lot of fun. You should definitely go.
Oh, that's one I've always wanted to check out. I think it just won the Rondo Award for best horror convention too. I'm pretty sure it won this year's Rondo Award for that. Yeah, that's one I've always wanted to check out, but it's so far away. I've never made it out there. And I've had people ask me, "Oh, why don't you ever go to Monsterpalooza?" But it's like, I can't make the trip out there. I also had people ask me to do Chiller, and I went to Chiller once just as a fan to check it out. The guy who runs it, Kevin, is a nice guy, but he's just like, "Oh, I want to have you guys out sometime for the show," and so it's like, yeah, it would help if you could give us like a table or something. I mean, that would be nice, But I haven't made it back there. Just when I do cons now, it's like I kind of just want a table to sell our DVDs and things like that, so we can at least try to make our money back for what we spend to get out there, because we're like Z-list guests, so usually they don't pay for our travel expenses. Some of the cons do, but most of them don't, and hotels, usually they don't. Sometimes they do. When we were like at our height, I guess, of doing the show, we would get the hotel comp sometimes, but most of the time when you're a horror host, this is something to expect when you're a horror host. Don't expect to get celebrity treatment all the time. You'll get treated. People are usually pretty awesome. They're like, "Yeah, can you be a guest at our convention? We'll give you a guest listing and a table," and that's about as far as it goes. Like that's as usually as good as it's going to get. And then you have the exceptions where occasionally a convention will be like, "We really want you at our con. We'll get your hotel and travel and give you a table and a guest listing." But that rarely happens. Once in a while there you'll get that. But most of the time you're lucky if you just get a table. I don't want to pay for a table at this point. It's like I want to at least, if I have to spend the money to get to the convention, I at least want to make my money back and ideally make a little profit. It's just like being in a garage band doing the horror host thing, because basically you do your show, and then doing cons and selling your merch is kind of like a band that sells their merch at their gigs.
Right.
That's basically what you're doing, and you're not going to make big bucks at it for sure. We basically break even on what we spend to put the show together, because you have production costs, you have to buy camera equipment and whatever, lights and all of that stuff, with props and costumes and things like this. So you wind up putting some money into it, and it shows when you put the money. I mean, don't have a great budget, but we do what we can with what we have to work with. But then it's like, okay, well, you want to kind of try to make some of that money back if you can, and that's what the cons are for. Like, you go to the con. I mean, it's to meet fans too, which is great. You know, when we do local cons and stuff,
Yeah.
or car cons, it's great to meet fans of the show. Like, that's awesome. I love that when people come up and they go, "Oh, I used to watch Horror Host when I was a kid, and now I watch your show on Friday nights with my kid," and it's like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like, that means a lot to me. Like, that tradition is being carried on, and we're kind of keeping that torch going, torch lit. But at the same time, too, it's like, well, if we're going to spend money to go out to a convention, it'd be nice if we could just at least make our money back on it. If you can't, you can't. You know, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can't. Especially like for us, we've been off TV, like regular TV, for a long time. At this point, we were on like 200 cities and towns in New England, and it was like, you know, we'd go to a con and we would do pretty well. But now it's like we've been off the air for a long time. The last con we did, I mean, it was abysmal how much money. I actually brought He-Man stuff to sell at my table so I could make a little money off that.
Nice.
Because we weren't selling any DVDs or anything like that. It's sad to say, but it's like once you're out of the spotlight for a while, it's like, oh, you know, people kind of move on. And it's cool, but it's like, oh, you know, we just dragged all this merch and DVDs and all this stuff, you know, to the convention. We all got dressed up in the costumes and stuff at the table, and it's like, yeah, if you make a few bucks, it's like, that's not the reason you do it, is what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's not for the money, for sure. It's like, you do it because you enjoy doing the show and keeping that tradition going. And that was, for me, that was like a big part of it, because we grew up with the local TV programming. In fact, one of the local kids show hosts here in the Boston area just died, Willie Whistle, the clown. He grew up between the 60s and the 80s in the Boston area. You couldn't miss him. He was on TV with Channel 38, Willie Whistle. He just passed away. And all of that local TV is gone. Like, you don't see those. You grew up with kids shows and local horror shows and stuff like that. So that was a big impetus for doing a horror host show, was kind of returning to sort of local programming. But you're not going to make a lot of money at it. It's like, it's for the love, and for the people that really like horror hosts, they will be the most loyal fans of your show. You know, they're just like real supporters of your show, and they love that stuff. But then the general population, like the average person, they don't care about that stuff. Like, you know, they have 300 channels they can watch now on cable, why or more. Why are they gonna, you know, if they have to kind of seek it out, and that's what they like, and they're really passionate. People who like it are really passionate about it. It's kind of a cult thing now, you know. It's not like a mainstream thing. You have like successful horror hosts like Cassandra Peterson, who's very famous, but she made a lot of Elvira, you know, she made most of her money on merchandising her character, her persona. That's where most of her money came from, was not from doing Movie Macabre on LA local TV. It was from merchandising her character. So Ghouli's doing really well now too, because he has that. He's on MeTV, and he has the Universal Horror package, so he's been doing pretty well with that. None of the horror hosts I know, even people who've been doing it way longer than I have, they don't make money at it. They'll do cons and sell some DVDs and T-shirts, and you know, but that's like I said, it's nice to break even if you can, but don't expect to make a profit for sure on it. And don't expect to be walking down the street every 5 minutes, somebody going, "Hey, you're that horror host." It happens occasionally, you know, like I'll go out and somebody go, "Hey, you're Penny Dreadful," you know, and that's fun when that happens. But it's like, most people don't watch those shows. Most people are lame, and they'll watch like reality shows instead. It's like the people who watch the show, you know, they're the ones who are like gonna be like, "Hey, I watched, you know, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things last week. That was awesome. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid." You know, like that kind of stuff
I think that us horror podcasters should get a level of celebrity treatment at conventions, because I go there and stuff, and just like, you know, you let people know who you are and stuff, and they just don't really seem to care, you know. And it's like, I feel like we should.
Like that with horror hosts too, though. Like, it's like we're the Z-list guests of the convention. I kind of just own that, you know. Yeah, you know, whatever.
I know.
We get treated with some small measure of dignity. It's like, yeah, as long as they don't say, yeah, your table's in the bathroom, you know. Like, let us at least give us a table and list us as guests on your program, and, you know, let us get into the green room to get some food if that's okay, you know. And then that's it. I don't need anything else. I'm cool with that. But then if it's like, you know, treat it like garbage, it's like, well, you're not whatever, whoever it is, you're not, I don't know. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head, but it's like, yeah, I wasn't in a movie in the 80s that was a big hit, so, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well, I just, you know, I just wish, you know, I'd get like free autographs or something, because the celebrity autographs are just going sky high now, you know? Especially since if I've interviewed this person, you know. I did get some.
Right.
I did get some free stuff at Monsterpalooza, like Ann Robinson from the War of the Worlds. I interviewed her the week before. She gave me a free 8x10 in selfie. I really appreciated
that. Was
that.
Nicer.
Yeah, but like, I just wish everyone did that, because come on, I'm kind of in the industry.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, some of those actors don't. You know, that's how they make their money now too. You know, I was at a convention.
Mm-hmm.
It was really sad. It was. I was shocked that this happened. It was Arlene Martell, who was in Star Trek. She played Spock's mate, like his wife. He went back to Vulcan, and he was the one where he like has the battle for it. She was played Spock's wife, basically.
Uh-huh.
And we were sitting next to her, and she's an older lady, and, you know, she was letting fans come behind her table to take pictures with her. And some asshole, sorry, pardon my language.
Oh, swear all you want.
This guy came behind her table, and I don't know who it was, honestly. Like, somebody came behind her table, took a picture with her, and she noticed a little while later all her money was gone. This poor lady's been there all day, you know, trying to make a few bucks. So she's not acting anymore. This is how she makes her money, is doing the shows. Somebody ripped her off and stole all her money. I'm like, oh my God, they're pretending to be a fan of hers, and with the goal of ripping her off. I was like, geez, that's really sad. And then you have other actors who were like, they are doing very well. They're, you know, wealthy, well off, whatever. It's like, yeah, you can spare an autograph for somebody who's just interviewed you and given you play about your newest project and all of this. It's like, yeah, what's the big deal? It's one picture with an autograph. That's not going to cost them anything. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but what can you do?
Yeah.
So you got the He-Man project. Is there anything else you're doing?
It's been going really well. I'm really excited about that.
Is there anything else you're doing?
Other than the He-Man stuff right now, like, we have, Eric and I have written for Val through MV Creations. We've written, like, geez, probably getting close to maybe 150 character bios for the figures, and then we went back and did bios for past, like, accessories and things to do, like, little history stories, and Mattel approved all of that. So that stuff is released weekly. The digital bios are released through He-Man.org every Monday. It's called Masters Mondays. So if you go to he-man.org, those are on there, and you can read our little stories about He-Man characters. And then on Super 7, which is a company out in the Bay Area, actually, Brian Flynn. I don't know if you know those guys, Brian Flynn and Josh Sharplesheimer. They run this company / store called Super 7, and they do all kinds of pop culture stuff. And they brought back, like, the Star Wars style figures and stuff like that for different brands. Mm-hmm. They actually have the Universal Monsters license, so they do a lot of Universal Monster stuff. They also currently have the He-Man license, so He-Man and She-Ra. So they're doing we're working with them to do packaging bios for. They just revealed at Toy Fair in February that they're doing figures of the movie characters, which has been a rights issue for a very long time, but they actually went straight to Bill Stout, who owns the designs for the characters. So they're doing a Frank Langella Skeletor, Dolph Lundgren He-Man, God Skeletor when he has gold armor, and they're doing Karg, because they had done the comic book colors version of Karg. Now they're doing like the movie colors, because they got the rights to do it. So we wrote bios for them too, but the bios couldn't be like specifically from the movie. We had to like work it into the existing canon that had been established in the Kovac bios. So we kind of did a lot of shout-outs to the movie and nods to the movie, but we merged it with what was established in the Classics continuity. So that's been Masters Universe Classics continuity. It's a toy line that's been going for like 10 years at this point, so there's a lot going on with that. And then with Dark Horse, there might be some, I can't really say anything about it, but the Dark Horse books, there might be some surprises coming soon that may or may not be announced this summer. So that's another big project that I've been working on that I have not been able to talk about. There might actually be more than one thing coming out, one of which I was probably not involved with very much. The other one I was heavily involved with, so that's going to be announced soon. And then for horror-related stuff, like, Penny Dreadful Vlll, comes out of the shadows about once a year for Halloween time these days, but you never know. There's been some discussion about rebooting Penny and doing some fun stuff with that. So for the time being, it's Penny Dreadful kind of comes out in October and then goes back into hiding. So.
Oh, I hope so, though. I love it. And I loved your updated Wikipedia page as well.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I decided, it was important to do that because, that page had been dead for forever. Like, we had that page up years ago, and it just never got updated with any new information. And I was like, we should probably polish that up a little bit. So I decided, I'm going to add a personal life section to that, given the sort of current state of things in terms of, I don't want to get too political, but I'm finding a lot of people have been really negative about a lot of things. So I just, here in Massachusetts, there was a ballot question back in September where they were going to put up the question as to whether transgender people should be allowed to use bathrooms that would correspond with their gender identity, and this was actually up for a vote. And I saw this commercial that was really horrible commercial about trying to scare people into voting for it to pass this thing. And I was like, this is unbelievable. And I've always been very private about my past. I'm a trans woman, but I went through the process many years ago. And actually, so did my late husband, Magoo, who played Guru on Chilling Shockers, and he was FTM. We kind of went in opposite directions. We honked and waved as we passed each other, I guess, when we transitioned. So he just didn't, both of us been kind of like, yeah, been there, done that. We went through it. But as I've seen more and more hostility towards transgender people lately, and attempts to kind of take away rights or military bans and the bathroom bills, and then people making accusations about transgender agendas based on characters that have been showing up on television shows. Like Supergirl has a trans character on it now, and so does Sabrina. And I was like, geez, what is all of this? So at the time, I was so angry that I was like, I'm just going to put this out there. People have been following our show for years, or like what we do, or whatever, or met us in person and became friendly with us. Hey, this is a part of our history. This is what we went through, and it doesn't change anything. It's just, I'm eccentric, but not for that. That's just part of who I am. That's part of my charm. But I felt the need to kind of be more open about that. I've always been private about it, but I was like, it's time to just say something about that so people know that we're out there and that we exist, and that, people who are going through transition, the last thing they need is people telling them you can't use the bathroom, or it's like humiliating.
Yeah, that's not good.
What's that?
I said, yeah, that's not good when they tell you, what bathroom to use and all that.
Oh my goodness, that's just terrible. It's like people just, what's the big deal? Like I don't see what the problem is here. Luckily, that bill did not pass in Massachusetts, and subsequently, once those doors were open, once I kind of opened those doors, there was kind of no going back after that. And I said, I should speak out more about this kind of stuff for people. Not that, I'm not, I wouldn't call myself an activist for sure. I'm far too lazy for that. I really should, I should get off my butt and be more active to be an activist. But, I try to be more vocal about that kind of stuff and marginalized groups of people that sort of try to stick up for people when I can. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to just put this on as part of my Wikipedia page. I will put this on there because why not? And it is what it is. I don't know if all I've gotten in was, sorry about that, the fire alarm just went off. I'm trying to cook some chicken in the kitchen, and the smoke near the fire, very sensitive fire alarm. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Or maybe it's like the government is listening to what we're saying right now and coming to get me. Like, sorry, can't join the military. Oh, well. I think I could because I already transitioned a really long time. I transitioned like 20 years ago, so it's been long enough that they should at least consider me for if I
Yeah, I love transgender people, and being from San Francisco, being around it, I'm bisexual, by the way.
Oh, are you? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so I just that tugged my heartstrings when I read that about you. I knew that there was something eccentric about you and that you were different and all that stuff. But I'm just so glad that I found out what I found out, and I'm so happy that you're happy and that you've done that.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Magoo and I used to say. Magoo used to say it all the time. He goes, "Baby, we were made for each other, literally." So it's definitely. It's just like, and it's funny because I meet like younger people who are going through it now, and it's a much more. It's a different environment. Like back when I was growing up, I mean that was something just. I would never dare express that, when I was a child. But now it's become much more. People can talk about it more, and I think that's good. It's good that they have positive depictions of transgender characters in media. Like when I was growing up, it was always like, okay, it was either like a prostitute or a fat sack. Somebody who's like wants to kill themselves, and it's like. Oh, come on, can we just have normal characters who just happen to be transgender? And now it's becoming more, you see that more. It's like what you watch with Sabrina, the Stranger Dangers of Sabrina,
yeah.
Or Supergirl, there's like, there's the transgender superhero on Supergirl. That's awesome,
Yeah. What's your stance on the term tranny?
Oh, I don't like that word.
You don't like that? I
don't care for that word. I find it, I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's not, I don't get like all up in arms and, start a war with somebody over it. It's just like, I just kind of roll my eyes when I see it. It's like, no, I don't care for it. It sounds silly to me.
I used to do this joke in my stand-up where I'd say, yeah, I'm deeply offended by the term tranny because it's one extra letter away from tyranny.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's great. Now, as somebody who's bisexual, do you find that that's difficult in terms of, because I've noticed, at least, when I was in college, I identified as bi, and I remember there was like a lot of people who were like, "Oh, you're not bi. You just haven't figured it out yet, kind of thing. It's like, well, that's, and they say, well, bisexual people just haven't figured it out yet. And I don't agree with that. It's like, I think
I don't either.
Denying somebody's sexuality, that's not cool to do that. Have you encountered that at all?
Oh, lots of it. When I first came out about it, I was 26. This was almost 10 years ago, and I had to deal with a lot of shitheads from like high school and stuff about it and stuff. And there were people in high school who knew it before I did. Just by my mannerisms and things I said and did and stuff. But yeah, I do encounter that sometimes. The one I don't like the most is you're bi. How does that work? It's like it's whoever you're attracted to.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's amazing to me that a lot of times people who have their own identity or sexuality denied, like so many people would then turn around and do that to somebody else. That's like, that's not cool either. Yeah, that's why I believe in like all groups of people that are kind of have dealt with being marginalized should unite to sort of be like, hey, this is everybody's the same, but everybody's different at the same time, and we should all support each other's struggles.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. And I hope to become more active and vocal about stuff in terms of like local community stuff and everything with trans stuff. Where I live right now is like not the best. There isn't much going on here, but like I'm about an hour and a half out of Boston, so there's a lot going on up there, and then there's Providence too. So in fact, this summer in Providence is a big horror. Every other year they do Necronomicon, which is an H.P. Lovecraft convention in Providence. So that's coming up this summer, and Rebecca, who is the director on the show, she's involved with that. She runs the Eldritch Ball that they have, like a big costume ball. So I'll check that out this summer.
That's just wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on again, Penny. I mean, you are just a sweetheart. I mean that.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. That's really nice of you to say that. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and I wish you the best of luck with your show. I hope everything works out with it, and I look forward to seeing your premiere episode down the road.
Oh, and I appreciate that too, and I hope we do get to see more of Penny in the future.
We shall see.
Okay, you have yourself a great night over there. You got another interview coming up, right?
Yeah, I got my regular podcast, which is, I should plug that. It's called Roast Eagle Dinner for people that are interested in He-Man. It's like a Masters of the Universe podcast that's been going for almost 10 years now. Next year, I think, will be our 10th anniversary. So we're going to be discussing the potential upcoming He-Man movie. So in the next episode. So we're going to be recording that tonight.
Cool. I'll take a listen.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tommy, and have a great night.
My pleasure. You have a great night, too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Penny Dreadful the 13th. Ain't she a sweetheart? Yes, she is. I mean this sincerely. I'm sorry I'm stammering over my words today. This has been just a really bad week for me. I'm still dealing with all the pressure that I've dealt with this week. But I mean this sincerely. I mean, anyone, who can, change their identity, change their gender to make themselves happy and still be kind and loving to everyone around them. I mean, that's just a person to be admired, and I admire Penny just a great deal tremendously. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.